All right, my friends. We just pressed the Let's Go Live button, which means we got to wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the interwebs before we go ahead and get started. We got to make sure those tubes are connected before we start rambling off into oblivion. But it looks like YouTube is fired up. We've got locals kicked over. Hopefully our friends on Rumble are joining us. And the tubes connect themselves all across the interwebs, confirming that YouTube is alive and well, and it looks like it is, hopefully. That means we can go ahead and get started. There it is. Let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today, Alvin Bragg. We are back in trial. It's day 13, and we have two big updates to attend to. The first headline, of course, is that Stormy Daniels was on the stand today, and it was a doozy. She got pounded. Yes, I know. And it came out by Susan Necheles, Trump's defense attorney. And so we're going to go through this entire saga. Of course, Trump came out and spoke before the day got underway. We are, as usual, checking in with inner city press. Trump spoke after testimony. And we have Mike Johnson, who came out. Regardless of what you think of him, he came out with a pretty powerful statement to say today about how ridiculous this whole charade is. But before any of this got started, Michael Avenatti, remember him? Before Stormy took the stand, he posted this morning and he said, you know, here's my personal statement about Stormy Daniels and about the testimony that's going to be coming out of her mouth, saying that she is involved in a little bit of her own false business record situation herself. And so we'll read through this because the allegation is that Stormy got paid from the Stormy documentary that's all over Peacock, and that money was going through a secret route back into Stormy's bank account so that Stormy didn't have to pay Trump the money that Stormy owes him for filing a false defamation claim against him and losing big time. So the question from Michael Avenatti, is Stormy Daniels going to be prosecuted? And he said this is all on a recorded line. Of course, he's on a jail call. They record the calls there. So hopefully that recording emerges. We're also going to check in on Stormy Daniels. I have a couple clips from her documentary before we hear her testify so we can get get a feel for what she looks like and sounds like. And she's explaining why she signed these documents. Of course, we have two signatures from Stormy, one on January 10th saying, no, I had no affair with Trump, and one on the 30th of January, same year, 2018, no, I didn't have an affair with Trump. So two signatures from Stormy. And we'll compare and contrast that with Hillary, because I went and dug up. Remember, we compare and contrast things here. And one problem is that Hillary had a legal expenditure problem where she misclassified campaign opposition research and fake stories from the Steele dossier. And they only settled with the FEC with a fine. And so I took that document out. We'll take a look at it before we jump into the testimony. And of course, Stormy Daniels is a little bit of a, degenerate. So she thinks certain things are funny and they're not. And so she came in to court and apparently she was making jokes and stuff. And the jury was not really digging it. They're like, what is going on with this weird lady? So we're going to go through all of it. Of course, we've got full day testimony, courtesy of our friend Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press Reporting. We got all his links down in the description below, one to his X, one to his Substack. And he is also on YouTube, by the way. I just learned that he also has a YouTube account. So you can check that out as well. Now, we also have our community. We do streams in the morning for our members. We have a great members community, the best. And so you can come and join us. We do streams in the morning and on Saturdays. So 6 days a week, we have members only streams where we talk about a bunch of things that we can't squeeze in here. We'd love to have you come join us. We do after parties after the show. It's a great way to support our work, meet some awesome people, and have some fun. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com is where you can come and join us. If you want to get the PDF or anything that we go through here, we make show reports. They all go up on our website, robertgouveia.com. You can download the PDFs there. We have our merch store. We have our calendar. So you can actually add the show calendar to your calendar so you get notifications and all the things. We've got our Watcher Lodge, Sovereignty and Self-Development Community. Also over at watcherlodge.com, all of our Sovereignty Saturdays, the past 5, I think, have now been posted over there. And so if you're interested in what we're talking about, go check it out. And we have our Watcher Meetup coming up in Vegas. More info on that at watcherlodge.com. And so thanks, of course, for following us in any of those places. Now, let's get into the day's affairs. Michael Avenatti drops a bombshell on the day that Stormy Daniels is set to testify. He says, Trump's on trial here for falsifying business records, but Stormy falsified some business records of her own. Why? Because remember, Stormy sued Trump for defamation, lost big time, now owes him like $600,000 plus interest in terms of attorney's fees. And so she did this documentary that they published on Peacock, which is very appropriate for her genre. And in that, there's a question about whether she got paid some money. And the question is, how did that money get categorized and classified? Because you know how sticklers they are in New York. And so Avenatti posted this. And of course, we're going to get into Stormy's testimony in our next segment. But we want to set the stage, make sure we understand all of the things that are happening before this woman comes out and makes up her fantasy tale. But we'll go into that. Now, here is what Michael Avenatti posted on X. And he's in prison, by the way. So take this for what you want to take it for. But here's what he says. Now, here is my statement regarding the testimony of Stormy Daniels, who is like the star witness for Alvin Bragg, even though it's a business records criminal case. Here's what Avenatti says. Will DA Bragg pursue charges against Stormy for her falsification of business records and fraud, etc.? So Avenatti posted this full statement. Let's go through it. He says, here, America, here's a question. Will DA Bragg, Alvin, or others, anyone else, charge Stormy Daniels with her own fraud, with her own falsification of business records? He says, here's the statement of Michael Avenatti. He says, last June, I was contacted by a producer called Sarah Gibson, who had requested that I assist with a documentary about my former client, Stormy Daniels. Remember, Avenatti was Stormy's lawyer for quite some time. He said, by the way, I had fired Daniels as a client February 2019. He said he learned a bunch of stuff, that maybe she lied to him about stuff, and he fired her. He says, on June 25th, 2023, at 12:09 Pacific time, I spoke with Miss Gibson by phone on a recorded line, as all jail calls are. He's in prison, so she calls in, hey, I'd like to talk to Michael Avenatti. Perfect. Here's a recorded line. It's all there. We'll see if the jail has it or not. And I asked her a number of questions so I could determine whether I would agree to participate. He says, I was particularly interested in knowing whether the project was going to be legitimate and fair. Is this a real documentary? Or instead, is this going to be a puff piece designed to put Stormy Daniels in a favorable light while ignoring facts and trashing me and Donald Trump? I wanted nothing to do with the project if it was the latter. So my first question to Miss Gibson, Stormy Daniels' Peacock producer, says when we spoke was whether Daniels was being paid for the documentary, right? Seems logical. So I asked this question, says Michael Avenatti, because if she was being paid for the documentary, it would be a clear indication to me that the project lacked integrity, that it would be one-sided and controlled by Daniels. Now, Miss Gibson, the producer, told me that Daniels was being paid for the documentary, but that because she owed Trump hundreds of thousands of dollars from a defamation judgment that Trump won and Stormy was ordered to pay attorney's fees on that. And she said, I'll never pay. Nah. Hundreds of thousands, I think 600 now, from a judgment Trump was trying to collect from Miss Daniels because she owed him that money. They, meaning Stormy Daniels, the producer, and others, some might say a group of conspirators, they had come up with a plan. There it is, conspiracy. Common schemer plan that would allow Daniels to be secretly paid. Ho, 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 ho. While at the same, that's like avoiding a court judgment, huh? While at the same time keeping the payments from Trump and his attorneys. Now, among other things, she told me that they had fictionally also optioned the rights to Daniels' new book. We're going to hear her testify about that. And then routed the money that Daniels demanded through a fabricated trust that had been set up in the name of Stormy's daughter. All to hide the money from Trump so that they don't have to pay him the judgment of the $600K. Isn't that interesting? So it's NBC, producer, and Stormy all trying to hide money that another court says that Stormy legitimately owes to Trump. It's trying to avoid having the judgment affect that batch of dollars. So this feels like it's falsifying a business entry, a business payment. I wonder if NBC is going to be charged for giving her money and creating this entire fiction to undermine a lawful court order. To say that I was shocked, says Michael Avenatti, when I was told this would be an understatement. He says, what? You did what for her? A woman I had never met called Miss Gibson. I've never spoken to her. She was admitting to me on a recorded line with the jails that Stormy Daniels, that she and others had engaged in multiple overt criminal acts, both state and federal, including falsification of business records, wire fraud, and fraudulent transfers, all in an effort to defraud Trump and to avoid paying him what was legally due. And so due to the fraud, we have Michael Avenatti, who's sitting in prison. He's like, I'm not committing another fraud. God, learn my lesson on that one. So due to the fraud, I declined to participate in the documentary. Now, hopefully we can get that audio recording. Hopefully it doesn't disappear like Epstein's videos, jail videos. Guards probably fell asleep. Oh, the camera wasn't working. The audio wasn't recorded that day on that call with Avenatti. Every other call was recorded except that one. Got it. So he says, if what Miss Gibson from NBC and Peacock, if what they told me on a recorded line is true, and there is every reason to believe it is, how can Bragg possibly rely on the testimony of Daniels, who herself is guilty of fraud and who recently falsified business records to cover up a crime? Right? You change a business record, which is a fraudulent transfer or a wire fraud. So they say that Trump's underlying object offense was that he was trying, we don't know what it is yet ultimately, but that he was trying to illegally influence an election, even though that was a law that applies to state elections, not federal elections. Okay. They're saying that there's some other object crime, right? The business record was changed in order to cover something else up. Exactly what Stormy's doing. You're trying to cover up a fraudulent transfer. That's not Stormy's money, Stormy. That's not your daughter's money, Stormy. That's Trump's money via a court order from another judge. You owe him that. You're trying to avoid paying on a judgment. That's a crime. Will DA Bragg or others be promptly filing criminal charges against Daniels or other people involved in this scheme? Great questions, Michael Avenatti. Of course, he's a lawyer and he's using a bunch of language from conspiracy, right? He's very clear. There was a plan there. And you'll notice the other word that is common to criminal charges out there. It's the word overt. Wherever that one was, she engaged in multiple overt criminal acts, right? An act in furtherance of the conspiracy, of the common scheme or plan. So maybe they'll get hit with an indictment or something, but my guess is no, because only one set of rules applies to Trump. They get to do whatever they want all the time with no consequences. So here is Stormy Daniels. Now, we're going to hear her testify in our next segment, so jump over there if you want to jump there. We'll get there soon. But Stormy, I want to give us a little update on what she looks like and sounds like and some background before we get into it. So, of course, she released a documentary, and there were some excerpts of this that CNN had, and they were talking about her take on this. And here she is explaining herself. She got paid for this. Michael Avenatti says this money got routed into her daughter's trust fund. Here's what she says.
My friend was like, you might actually have a problem. I don't want to scare you, but based on the things you've told me, now you're the whole Republican Party's problem. And they like to make their problems go away. It was really about two things: trying to keep the story from coming out so that it would not hurt my husband and my daughter and I wouldn't lose my life. And that there would be a paper trail and money trail linking me to Donald Trump so that he could not have me killed. All I had to do was sign this piece of paper and collect $130,000.
She kind of sounds like she might be intoxicated, no? Like there's a little bit of slurring or some marbles in her mouth. Kind of sounds a little Joe Biden-y. Here's another clip from the doc.
Ties to some of it, but they've also become more violent with me. I'm more prepared with my legal knowledge, but I'm also tired. Like, my soul is so tired.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah. You're pretty worn
and
out.
I don't know if I'm
ya?
so much a warrior now.
Yeah, you're pretty worn down, aren't you? Worn out.
Out of man.
Yeah.
I'm out of.
Oh, good. Okay, so that's from her documentary, right? So she's out of F's and she's just worn out, which is the understatement of the year. Now, before we get into her testimony, she denied this affair absolutely twice. Here is one image of a January 10th image. She signed it. It's going to come up during testimony. She says, I recently became aware that certain news outlets are alleging that I had a affair, a sexual and or romantic affair with Donald Trump many, many, many years ago. I am stating with complete clarity that this is absolutely false. My involvement with Donald Trump was limited to a few public appearances and nothing more. When I met Donald Trump, he was gracious, professional, and a complete gentleman to me and everyone in my presence. Rumors that I have received hush money from Donald Trump are completely false. If indeed I did have a relationship with Trump, trust me, you wouldn't be reading about it in the news. You would be reading about it in my book. But the fact of the matter is, these stories are not true. First statement. And then just about 2 weeks later, she sends another one. This was on January 30th. And this one says, over the past few weeks, I've been asked countless times to comment on reports of an alleged sexual relationship I had with Donald Trump many, many, many years ago. The fact of the matter is that each party to this alleged affair denied its existence in 2006, 2011, 2016, 2017, and now again in 2018. Stormy says, I am not denying this affair because I was paid, quote, hush money, as has been reported in overseas owned tabloids. I am denying this affair because it never happened. I will have no further comment on this matter. Please feel free to check out me on Instagram at the Stormy Daniels. Okay, don't do that. Thank you. Stormy Daniels signed both of those documents. So we're going to get into the testimony, but I wanted to just show you this. Now we compare and contrast Trump's case with everyone else who can do other, who can have much more serious problems and get away with it. And this is the document that compares and contrasts Hillary to Trump. So remember that Hillary created, using her lawyers, Mark Elias, Perkins Coie, they went out, hired Fusion GPS to create a fake PP tape by Christopher Steele, who drafted that. He was like UK intelligence, whatever. Fusion GPS was a third-party contractor who funneled this fake oppositional campaign research back over to the law firm, and the law firm gave it over to Hillary for America. It was a campaign expense, and it was all fake. This is from the FEC. There was a complaint that was filed by Coolidge-Reagan Foundation, and they filed a complaint, and they won. Hillary came back out and settled this. This is the settlement document, and the document is notifying Coolidge-Reagan that this is how it's been settled. Commission found probable cause to believe that Hillary for America and Elizabeth Jones as treasurer violated these two laws. And so they just paid a fine, and that was the end of the deal. Now, for Trump, he gets prosecuted, and Trump didn't do anything remotely to creating fake oppositional research to influence an election. They created a fake P-tape. They said that Trump was Russian asset from Christopher Steele, literally to influence the election. And it was just a fine. This is the document signed by attorney Richard L. Weiss, who was responding from the FEC. Nobody was prosecuted, charged with a crime. So before we get to Stormy's testimony, here was just a little bit of flavor for how everything went down. CNN was saying, jury wasn't really buying her porn star charm.
Jurors, Casey?
Just one thing that I've been sort of noticing as this has gone on is that there have been a couple times where she seems to be cracking a joke, trying to get a reaction from the jury, and our reporters in the room have noted that the jury hasn't seemed to respond
No, they're
to
taking
that.
their job seriously.
I mean, what do you make of that?
Humor is risky in the courtroom, especially if you go in with lines, like it looks like Stormy. If something happens spontaneously, if an easel falls over, people will laugh. They're human. But it's never going to work if you go in there like, I'm going to amuse the jury. I'm going to sort of say this clever thing.
All right, so we have enough flavor. And so now in our next segment, we're going to jump into the trial testimony. So thank you for subscribing, my friends. And we'll see you back here on the next segment. And we're going to the next segment. And so let's just get right into it, because this is what we've all been waiting for. Stormy Daniels gets pounded in court. She was up on the stand, questioned by Bragg's prosecutors, and then Susan Necheles for Trump's defense came out, brought out the truth that Stormy is a money-seeking fame-hungry degenerate that we all know. And so we're going to go through this, of course. Inner City Press, Matthew Russell Lee is reporting, doing great work. We've got his links in our description below. But before we get into the trial testimony and then hear from Trump and Mike Johnson in the aftermath, let's see what Trump said to get the day started. He showed up in Manhattan and he's looking sharp. We got a yellow tie about to burst through the doors here as the president enters the building. There he is!
Why did you delete the Truth Social post?
Now, there was a truth that Trump posted that he then deleted, and some people are saying that that's very curious. Why'd you delete the truth?
Mr. Trump, why'd you delete the Truth Social post this morning?
Where'd that go?
Are you a victim of extortion?
The country is on fire. There are protests all over the country. I've never seen anything like this. Many graduation ceremonies are being canceled. They canceled, as you know, in Colombia.
It's gold!
They're canceling
Not yellow.
a lot of them. And we have a president that just refuses to talk because he can't talk. You know that. And so does everyone
That's
else.
true. He has a hard time speaking.
Some of the statements made about
That's gold
this
tie.
witch
You're
hunt
right. Thank you for the correction.
on CNN, fake news CNN, Michael Moore said the proof of falsifying records has not been accomplished. On Good Morning America, they said, we heard that expense payments to lawyers are legal expenses.
Yeah, that makes
You pay
sense.
a lawyer expense payments.
Yeah.
We didn't put it down as construction costs, the purchase of sheetrock,
No.
the electrical cost. The legal expense that we paid was put down as legal expense. There's nothing else you could say. You don't have to put down anything, I guess. But we put down legal expense was legal expense. Is that a correct statement, Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Attorney?
Everyone's saying, oh, gee, that's the fraud. That's what they're trying to get us on. The fact that we call a legal expense a legal expense. They marked it down in the books. The check was signed. And the other thing, this was approved by all agencies. Everybody saw this. There was nothing being hidden at all. That's what they're all writing now. There's been nothing hidden. And it went through agencies, and I guess it went through the IRS also. It went through IRS, it went through the FEC, it went through everything. Also, NBC Today showed the challengers that there is no smoking gun, no email or tape to prove the president's intent. They don't have a way to prove that. That's NBC Today show. And then Fox
Nice
News,
headline, yeah.
Katie Cherkasky said that the gag order is unconstitutional. Which of course it is. The gag order is unconstitutional. So with all that's going on, they have no case. Every single legal scholar that I see, I mean, maybe there's somebody out there, some whack job, but for virtually everyone
Judge Ludwig,
that
yeah.
I've seen,
Judge
I said
Andrew
there's
Weissman.
absolutely no case. It's a case that shouldn't have been brought. The previous DA wouldn't bring it. Bragg didn't want to bring it, and he brought it because I'm running in number one place.
And
This all
Colangelo
comes
went
out
down.
of the White House and crooked Joe Biden. This comes from the White House, and it's all Biden because it's an attack on his political opponent. That hasn't happened in this country. It does happen in third world countries, but it hasn't happened in this country, and it's a shame. And the trial is a very unfair trial. It's a very, very unfair trial. The good news is they have nothing. Thank you.
Why is it unfair?
Thank you, Mr. President.
President, do you plan on testifying?
We appreciate that, Mr. President. Now you can see, it looks like we got a bunch of familiar faces in the house. I think that's Alina Abba over there. Eric Trump is back in the house. I saw Emile Beauvais over there. And so Trump now exits and we can get into the day's affairs. So, courtesy of Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press reporting, links all down in the description below. And he releases basically a new booklet every week. So if you want to just read through it and you don't want to hear my annoying comments, you can get the books on Amazon. Now, we're back. And he makes the same mistake I did. Okay, we're just, we don't have gold ties. I've never had a gold tie before, so I don't know what it's like. But he says, Trump has arrived. Blue suit, gold tie. He says this time his lawyer, Susan Necheles, sets up as the lead counsel seat to his right. Why might that be? We like to pair female to female. When a female's on the stand, you don't want a male to come up and beat the heck out of her. Doesn't look good. So they're going to put Susan Necheles up with Stormy Daniels. Pretty standard stuff. Now, she's doing the Stormy cross-examination today, of course, but is there contempt motions or arguments going to be heard first? We don't know. We're waiting around for the trial to get started. And the door pops open. All rise. Okay, here we go. Here's Judge Juan the Con Mercans back here. All right, please be seated. Clerk announces, this is the time set for the people of the state of New York versus Donald Trump, indictment 2024 dash. Judge Mercan says, before we begin, good morning. Anything that we need to discuss? Trump's lawyer, Susan Necheles, says, Your Honor, we're informed that Stormy Daniels is going to be the second witness today. That's why I'm here. And so we oppose any details of sexual acts. And we're going to say the words here, and if it gets vulgar, we're doing it because this is what actually happened in court. I don't enjoy it, but this is what they're doing and trying to hide from us. So we're going to go in raw. Today, any details of sexual acts we oppose. So I want to be clear about that. Stormy Daniels, they are opposing this line of testimony from the beginning. Judge says, well, what do you mean? Other than what? Like just we had sex? Like, can they say that? And the government says, Your Honor, no. You only limited details as to Karen McDougal, okay? You didn't limit the details for Stormy Daniels. So we need to get into that. This disgusting prosecutor, who probably hasn't been laid in a decade, says, Your Honor, the details are important here, okay? We have to talk about the sex act. Only certain details are unnecessary, but we need to get into this, man. I'm like excited about this. This prosecutor hasn't had this much action in a long time. Susan says, I guess this is the prosecutor, which is why she wants to talk about it, especially if it's a female, says, we'll get into the conversation they had in the hotel and how the sexual act came about, how Stormy felt about it, and we will not get into genitalia. That's nice. So they're not going to get into genitals. Trump's lawyer, Susan Necheles, Your Honor, there is no need for this at all. This is a case about books and records. Trump's been charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records. The crimes are invoices, ledgers, and checks. Nothing about intercourse, nothing about a conspiracy, nothing about genitals. Juan Mercan says, this woman, Stormy, she has credibility issues. And so I think details are important. And so the judge says, I will allow them in. Call your witness. And they say, oh, wait a minute. Oh, the jury. Okay, bring in the jury first. So the jury comes in and we are going to move forward. Now, the defense is going to call for a mistrial later on in the day, and the judge is going to tell them that you should have objected to more of this stuff. They're going to say, you should have objected to all of these details when it came out. And so let's put a pin in this one, because right here, they are saying we oppose any details. That is their objection. They don't need to continue to lodge it. The judge has already overruled them. And so the judge is going to come back and criticize them. Why weren't you objecting when all this was happening? Because they did. So we just make very clear notation of that. And as a reminder, if you're following us and you want to follow along on X, we just reposted Inner City Press. He's at the top of the timeline, so you can follow along. There's no need for this. He says, I don't care. I want the details too. He's also excited. So they bring in the jury. Now, we're going to get through this first witness quickly before we get to Stormy. Government comes out and says, the people call Susan Franklin to the stand. Susan walks up. This is different from the prosecutor, who's also named Susan. Susan, you promise to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help God? I do. All right, please be seated. Miss Susan Franklin, where do you work? She said, well, I work at Penguin Random House and its imprints. And I'm here under subpoena. Are you familiar? So she works for the book publishing company, it sounds like. Are you familiar with the book called Trump, How to Get Rich? She says, yeah. And for that book and another book, have you reviewed various excerpts from the book? She says, yeah. Well, I want to show you People's Exhibit, Government Exhibit 413 and 414. Is this from Trump's Think Like a Billionaire? She says, yeah. And what does it say under the title of Trump's book? It says Big Deals from the Star of The Apprentice. And what's the largest word on the cover of this book, Susan? It's Trump. And if you could just give an estimate, what percentage of the cover does the word Trump take up? She says, well, I don't know, 30%, I'd say. And on Trump, think like a billionaire. How big is the word Trump? I don't even know where we're going with this, but okay. She said, I don't know, maybe 25%. Graphic design trial. Well, I'd like to introduce people's 413A. And she says, well, what does this say? It says, be like a general. And how about this? It says, if you don't know all the details, then you're setting yourself up. I guess these are excerpts from the book. Okay, be like a general, says Trump. Here's another rule from Thinking Like a Billionaire, 12 steps to success, whatever. If you don't know all the details, you're setting yourself up. And what does this one say? It says, sometimes you still have to screw them, like it says in the Bible, an eye for an eye. It's brutal, man. It's brutal out there in this world. And what does this one say, Susan? She says, all the work on The Apprentice, all the women on The Apprentice flirt with me. And that's to be expected. So Trump's talking about being the star on The Apprentice. Yeah. How about this, 414? It says, with a decorator, make sure to see all of the invoices. You should be double checking. So Trump pays close attention to his bills. And how about this? It says, I always sign my checks to make sure where my money is going. Check through your bills. My parents hammered frugality into me at an early age. And how about this? It says, watch the bottom line because Weisselberg is tough. And they say, okay, lastly, last one. Always look to the numbers yourself. In the 1980s, Jeff McConney prepared my small shot, and I told him, you're fired. And I meant questions every payment. Jeff got the message, and now he does a terrific job. Okay, so it confirms, I guess, what Jeff said yesterday. Jeff said, yeah, he got fired for just paying bills that he should have been paying. So prosecutor says no further questions. Okay, so we got some excerpts from the book in. Neat. Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, comes out. Quick question. Do you know how much the ghostwriter did of this book? No, I don't. Who designs the cover of your books when you write them? She said, we have a whole department that does that. So it's not entirely the author that does it? So no, we want to make the author happy. Nothing more. Any redirect? Says, okay, let's turn back to this 413 F through H. Your Honor, we offer these as exhibits. Trump's attorney says, hold on, Your Honor. Maybe approach. I have to talk to you. Susan Necheles remains back at the defense table. Todd Blanche goes up to the bench with the prosecutor. They talk. Nobody knows what they're saying. From the sidebar at the bench. Government moves. Your Honor, we enter these into evidence. There's an objection. Judge says, objection overruled. So the government shows Susan, back up on the bench, says, what's this, Susan? Well, that's the epigraph page. And the largest quote is by DJT. And how about this? It says, Meredith was just outside my office door. And how about this? It says, thanks offered to Random House staff. Does this indicate that an author was very involved in the book? Yes. And how about this? It says, God is in the details. Sign your own checks. People see it and they screw you less. No further questions. Short recross. Your Honor, he says, leave 414G up there. He says, we don't have exhibits, so just blow that last page up. Just zoom in on that. Susan, what does that say? It says Meredith McIver thanking people. He said, okay, nothing more. All right, so whatever that was for. Justice Merchan, it's a throwaway witness, but the actual point of the witness is to show that Trump has strict financial controls, which we already learned about yesterday from the comptroller, McConney. He already explained that to us. Trump likes to look at the checks. We know something over a certain amount, 10,000, requires 2 signatures. Under that requires 1, all the things. So they're just coming down and confirming that. Thanks, guys. So the judge says, okay, you can step down. Now, counsel, please approach. Long sidebar. They're up there for a while. Trump and his defense attorney, Emile Beauvais, they're talking at the defense table, and then the people call Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels walks in, stands up there. You tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. I got? I do. Stormy, please tell me about your family. Stormy Daniels says, well, I was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now I live in Florida with my partner. My parents split up when I was 4, and I went to a strict Christian school. It was all paid for by my father, and I was raised by my mother. Prosecutor's like, oh, wow, this is beautiful. Did you have any hobbies in school, Stormy? Well, I was a newspaper editor. I was in the 4-H club. I was the Baton Rouge Ballet Company. A friend introduced me to dancing one time, and it turned out it was exotic dancing when I was in high school. And so I thought, it was better than my other job, shoveling manure. And there was another quote that you'll see out there that she was making way more money in one night than shoveling manure for 8 hours a day. And so why did you move out, Stormy? Well, my mother was neglectful. She left me alone. She wasn't even an addict, just not a good mom. And at some point, Miss Daniels, did you do nude modeling? She says, yes, I did. You had to have credentials or credits to be the star. And so I went to Pose to go on tour as a featured entertainer, and I did that when I was 21. Did you work in the adult film industry? She says, I was a clothed extra for a while. But then a famous adult film director saw me, and I got a contract. Now, do you write and direct adult films, Stormy? It's while we're even having this conversation in court right now. But she says, yeah, there are some with dialogue. You see them on late night TV with the sex cut out, but I've directed over 150 films. Sick. And I've got awards for screenplays. Now, have you been filmed in films and TV? She says, oh yeah, I was. I was in the 40-Year-Old Virgin, and I was in a TV show with Courtney Cox. And were you on a podcast? She says, yeah, I was. I was on Beyond the Norm. I was on Female Serial Killers, talking about UFO, porn, politics. When you were on these podcasts, Stormy, did you discuss Mr. Trump? Yes, I did. And in 2009, did you explore running for Senate in Louisiana, which we talked about at our debrief before the trial started? She says, yeah, I did. I was going to run for Senate. There was actually a draft Stormy campaign. No, that was your campaign, to oppose David Vitter in the Republican primary. He was anti-woman. He did some unsavory things, and David Vitter would never debate me. Thank you, Stormy. I want to turn to Lake Tahoe now in 2006. Tell me what happened in Lake Tahoe in 2006. So, well, I was at a golf course. Wicked, which must be some adult company, sponsored a hole on the golf course. Yes, I'm aware that it's funny, she says. And I don't know if the jury got that or not, like they sponsored a hole on the golf course. We're like, oh, that's disgusting. Did you meet Donald Trump? Yes, I did. On the course. Wicked's owner introduced me as director. This is our great director. And what did you know about Mr. Trump when you met him? Well, I hadn't seen Celebrity Apprentice, but I remember him in cameos and wrestling. Wrestling's a pretty big deal in Louisiana, and so that's where I knew him. Well, what happened next? Well, he asked me about my films, and I saw him talk with other gentlemen. And Stormy, while we're here, I just want to ask you, do you see Mr. Trump in the courtroom? Can you identify him and an article of clothing, please? Identity is something they always have to prove in a criminal trial to prove that the defendant is, there and the person actually who did the thing. Yeah, there he is, seated at the defense table with a blue suit. Stormy said, the prosecutor says to Stormy, I want to hand you this thumb drive and show you People's Exhibit 226. This is the golf room photo. Can you describe this photo to us? It says, yeah, Trump's in a red hat, and you've seen the photo. And how about this photo? Well, that's Trump on the golf course. And Stormy, what did you tell Mr. Trump's bodyguard when he said Mr. Trump would like to take you to dinner? Oh, I said, F no. But did you give Keith Schiller your number? And of course, Keith Schiller is the Trump bodyguard. She says, yeah, I did. And did you discuss the invitation with anyone after you got invited to go to dinner with Trump? Yes, I did. My media guy, Mike, I told him. I was supposed to go to a wicked dinner, but I wanted to avoid it. There were cat fights and stuff. And so he told me You should go. It'll make a great story. What could possibly go wrong? She laughs. What could possibly go wrong? Huh? You know, like I'm in court. Oh, here we are. Just an innocent dinner. So I texted with Keith, the bodyguard for Trump, and I arranged to go to Mr. Trump's hotel, Harrah's. And what happened next? Well, when I got there, Keith, the bodyguard, told me to go up to the penthouse. And so Keith was at the door, and he said, well, hey, Stormy, nice to see you. Good evening. You look very nice tonight. And when you got there at this hotel, what were your expectations? She said, oh gosh, nothing. I mean, I thought we were going to get dinner. And so you went up to the penthouse, and what happened next? Well, as soon as I walked in there, he came down the stairs. And what was he wearing? Stormy says he was wearing silk pajamas. And so I asked him, I said, Trump, did you steal Hugh Hefner's pajamas? And so I just told him to change. I said, get up there and go change. And he did. He came back down in a dress shirt and pants. He says, you know, this hotel room that he was in was 3 times the size of my apartment. So did you go to dinner? Or did you just stay and talk? You know, we talked. And what did you discuss? Well, I told Trump where I grew up. You know, he asked, do I have siblings? I told him I do not. He asked me if I had a boyfriend, and I said, no, at the time I don't have a boyfriend. Did you tell him about your hard childhood, Stormy? She says, yes, I did. Objection sustained from the defense, and that is stricken. So I don't know if it's that statement specifically. Did you tell him about your hard childhood? Yes, objection. If that was stricken, or if something, if she said something right after that. What is stricken? So he asked me about the adult film industry, whether we have unions, you know, whether we get residuals for our work. Usually people ask about the sexy stuff, but he didn't. He wanted to know the business operations. Did Trump ask you if you'd been tested? Yes. I told him, yeah, clearly I'm clean. Wicked is a condom mandatory company. But I'm allergic to latex. And now we're getting into, it's like, okay. So I asked him about wrestling because he knew Vince McMahon at the time. And he had a cameo where he'd lost something or something. And Judge Mercan says, Miss Daniels, could you slow down, please? Court reporter might be having some trouble or something. The judge says, please slow down. Talking fast. So she says, well, he was supposed to get his head shaved if he lost the bet. And I told him he wouldn't look so good with a head shaved. Trump said, don't worry, it's wrestling, okay? It's all scripted. Even though I'm not sure about that. Did you ask Trump about Melania? He said, I did. And Trump said, don't worry, we don't even sleep in the same room. And so he just kept cutting me off, you know. He'd ask a question, then not let me finish. And I told him, you're very rude. And so Stormy says, I ended up spanking him. And after that, he acted much better. He said, you know, I should be in The Apprentice. And I told him, even you don't have that much power, Trump. He said, you remind me of my daughter, blonde and beautiful. And to me, Stormy says it made sense. What else did he say to you about The Apprentice, Stormy? He said that he could tell me the challenge. He couldn't let me win, but at least not lose right at the beginning. Now, I wanted to direct some non-adult films. You know, they have big budgets and better catering. And so I thought, how about I get into some actual legitimate work? This sounds great. Now, did you call another friend during this time? Stormy says, yeah, I did. I called a neighbor, Alana. I had run into her and I knew she didn't believe where I was. So I called her and I put her on speaker. He said hello. Trump said hello to her. He said, why don't you come over and hang out with us? And she didn't call back. So Stormy's there. Like, my friend's not going to believe this. Calls, puts him on speaker. Trump's right here. Government says, Miss Daniels, at some point, did you use the restroom? She says, yeah. Judge says, okay, before we get into all that, let's take a break here. Of course, Inner City Press is doing this amazing reporting. You can see the links and where to follow him on Substack, and that is linked in our description below. We fast forward through the break and we're back. So, Ms. Daniels, I was asking you, when you were there with Mr. Trump in that hotel room, did you need to use the restroom? I did, yeah. And I was instructed by Mr. Trump to go through the bedroom to the facilities. It was a leather-looking toiletry bag on the counter. So I went into the bathroom, and there was Trump's toiletry bag right there. And the prosecutor is so, like, everybody knows you don't go and look in someone else's medicine cabinet, okay? They invited you into their home. They've given you certain permission to be there, not to go rummage through all their crap. So it's a dishonorable thing to do. But of course, not only did Stormy Daniels look inside, but the prosecutor also wants to look inside, because that's how degenerates they all are. What was in Trump's toiletry bag? I don't know why this has anything to do with what's happening here, but she says, I looked, there was Old Spice in there. Just good stuff. It's pretty solid. Stormy says, there were gold tweezers in there. And when I came out, Mr. Trump was on the bed in his boxer shorts. And so I was startled. So what was all of this even for? Were they looking for condoms or something? Were they looking for some lubricate? What were they looking for? Why is this even relevant? When I came out, Mr. Trump was on the bed in his boxer shorts, and Stormy, who is a professional sex worker, says, I was startled. Never seen this before. Oh my gosh, a naked man. I felt like the room spun in slow motion. She got all woozy. I've never been in a situation like this before. I've only directed 150 films. Like, if you stand up too fast, I thought, oh my God, what did I misread to get here? He was posing on the bed. Stormy shocked. And so he stood up, not in a threatening manner, says Stormy. He said, if you ever want to get out of that trailer park, objection, sustained, move on. So what next? Stormy Daniels says, I felt drugged. I felt drugged. Objection, overruled. No evidence of that at all. Defense freaks out, loses their bananas. Absolutely. I would imagine at the defense table, Trump speaks with Beauvais, who again moves to the far seat. Todd Blanche is up at the sidebar with the judge. There's no evidence of this at all. Prosecutor says, well, they didn't know what my next question was. Okay. What's your next question? I'm going to confirm that she wasn't drugged. Okay, fine. So then the judge says, all right, fine, go back and ask that question. Defense says, fine. They go back. Prosecutor says, okay, so Stormy, you said you felt drugged, but you were not drugged though, right? She says, no, but there was a power imbalance. So basically I was practically drugged because of the power imbalance. Miss Daniels, did you have sex with Trump on the bed? Yes. In the missionary objection, sustained. Okay, again, we don't need all the details. She said, I was staring at the ceiling, wishing I was somewhere else. Objection, sustained. Miss Daniels, was he wearing a condom? No, he wasn't. He said, whoa, that was great. When he finished, we should get together again soon. And he called me Honey Bunch after this. And what did you say, Stormy? Nothing. I didn't. He didn't even give me his cell phone number. Now, Stormy, did he ever express concern about his wife finding out? No. And did you tell anyone? Very few. I'm ashamed I hadn't stopped it. I didn't want people I was dating to find out. What, that you're a porn star sex worker? She's shocked about, even if this is true, it's like, okay, which I doubt it is clearly. But even if it were true, it's like, come on, Stormy, you're a porn star. A little intercourse with a celebrity is going to throw you off your rocker? Like, give me a break. No one buys this. It's totally not credible. But she continues. Did you tell anyone? Well, I was ashamed. Like I hadn't stopped it. You do this for a living, lady. Did you later remember some things? She says, yeah, in the book, objection, sustained, approach. Now there's a sidebar. They're up at the judge's bench for a while. Question back to Stormy. Did you see him in Lake Tahoe again? Yeah, I did. In a nightclub there. Keith had called me and said Mr. Trump would be there. It would be in public, so I went. So again, right, it's the same story. So Stormy Daniels, who was so traumatized, okay, she was like shaking, she was ashamed, she was victimized, she was basically raped, is what she's saying here, without actually being, just kind of staring at the ceiling like, like what's going on? Like this whole thing was some abusive assault on her because of a power imbalance. She went to his penthouse. And for what? Even if this is true, right? If you believe her story, which nobody does. So I went. She was so victimized. She went back again. So then Ben Roethlisberger of the Steelers was there. And Mr. Trump called me his little friend Stormy and then said Ben would walk me to my room. And so did Ben walk you to your room? Yeah, he did. And did you tell anyone then about any of this? Yeah, there was another Keith I told, and that was my photographer. Stormy, would Mr. Trump then call you? Yeah, he would, and I would put him on speakerphone. And so a bunch of other people heard him. Did he know that he was on speakerphone? No. And so why did you continue to take his calls if you were so, abused? Well, my publicist bragged about it, and my publicist was saying, see, I told you so. And that there was and judge says, Stormy, please just answer the questions. Okay, this judge is getting a little bit like, oh gosh, am I allowing this trial to derail itself in my own courtroom? Is this going off keister here? The answer, judge, is yes. So why did you continue to take his calls? Stormy admits, I wanted to be on The Apprentice. She has an ulterior motive. She's biased. This is what other people have said, that they saw her at Trump Tower and it was about booking for The Apprentice. I wanted to be on The Apprentice. Now, did Trump give you the phone number of his assistant? Asked the prosecutor. He says, yeah, Ronna, I put her in my phone. And remember, Ronna testified very early in this trial. And she said, yeah, I put Stormy in the contact list on the computer server. So Stormy, who was again victimized, just zoned out staring at the ceiling, so traumatic. Did you go to the launch of Mr. Trump's vodka? She's like, oh yeah, I definitely did. He introduced me to Karen McDougal, who was there. And then he spent most of the time talking to my friend. We lied. We were flying out of LAX on a girls' trip. Did you go to Trump Tower back during that meeting? Yes. And I was also dancing in a club, so I invited Trump. It was a public place, so it was safer. Objection sustained. So Stormy is again inviting her assaulter into public places. It doesn't make any sense at all. If she was abused, why did she hang out with him? With Ben Roethlisberger, so-called, at this dancing club, so-called? It makes no sense. Did you go to Trump Tower? He said he was still working on getting me on The Apprentice. And so, yeah, I did. And he introduced me again, like a fourth or fifth time. Did you go see Mr. Trump in LA? Definitely. Oh, yeah. He invited me to his bungalow. And by then, my publicist was my boyfriend. And so he drove me around and waited outside. So the publicist boyfriend, Stormy hasn't told him, evidently, that Trump basically assaulted her, even though there was no assault at all. And he drove me and waited outside. And so that was common. I guess he would just drive her to her shows and just pimp her out. All right, honey, get out and go do some work for me. So that was pretty common. Mr. Trump was watching TV, a documentary about sharks. Sharks are awesome. And so when you were in there, tell me about what happened with Trump when you were there, when he was watching about the sharks. Well, he kept making sexual advances. Well, sharks will, bring out some of that testosterone, that adrenaline, kind of a manly animal, So he touched my leg. Stormy says, how did you respond? Well, I told him I was on my period and there was no progress on getting on The Apprentice. I said, well, I can't right now because, and I'm not on a show. So I'm not interested in having intercourse with you until I get on a show. So then I stopped answering his calls. But then he told me that Jenna Jameson would be on, who was another porn star. So when you didn't get on The Apprentice, Stormy, Did you move on? How was your life? She says, oh, it was awesome. I moved to Texas. Sorry, Texas. And I became a rank equestrian, going back to spend time with her people, the horses. So, objection, judge says, I'll allow it. Did you agree to be interviewed by In Touch? She says, yes, I did. Someone had sold my story. And so Gina Rodriguez told me to just get out there and take control. And $15,000 is what they paid me for this interview. And so I did it. So you did an interview with In Touch? Yes. How long was that interview? Well, 10 or 20 minutes. It was pretty simple over by phone. They never ran the story. Did you know why? No. Prosecutor says, Judge, may we approach? They go up, talk to the judge. There's a short sidebar. They come back. Government says, Miss Daniels, did you have an encounter in a parking lot in Las Vegas? She says, yes, I did. A man approached me and he told me not to keep telling my story about Mr. Trump. And did you tell your partner, publicist, about this? Your pimp? No, I didn't. He was having mental issues. That's of course, right? Nobody ever knows about. There's no corroborating witness. So some random person approaches her. She doesn't tell anybody about it. Then it becomes convenient for her to talk about it. And suddenly it happened. Did you become aware your story was on the dirty.com? She said, yeah, I mean, I don't read that site, but I wanted it taken down. I'd already been threatened. And so what did Gina say about this? Well, she said, could maybe we get Keith Davidson to get it taken down? Keith Davidson's the same lawyer who negotiated these deals in the first place. And did Keith Davidson succeed in getting the story taken down? She says, yes, it did. It came down. And Stormy, in 2015, once Mr. Trump was running for president, were you told that you could sell your story for even more? Yeah, I was. I was advised by a lawyer to have a press conference, to just go out there and put him on blast. And do you remember back during this time when you were, apparently trying to sell your story for maximum amount of money? Do you remember that the Access Hollywood tape came out, the grab him by the purse tape? Stormy says, yeah, I did. Gina told me about it. And so I wanted to get the story out because of the threat, because somebody, threatened me in Vegas. So I'm going to come out and say it. Did you find that Donald Trump and Michael Cohen at some point wanted to buy your story, Stormy? This is, I guess we're getting into the transaction. She said, yeah, it would be good. My husband wouldn't find out, but I'd have paperwork. So she's a terrible wife as well. Going to keep stuff from her husband and pocket 130 grand. I didn't care about the 130 grand, she says. That amount didn't matter to me, right? So she doesn't care about the money. Let's put a pin in that. We no longer lived in California, which is very expensive. And so I just wanted the paperwork so she doesn't get murdered, right? Were you ever presented with an agreement, Stormy? She says, yes, I was. And what is this? Put it on the screen. Oh, that's a Keith Davidson email. That's her lawyer. That's an email from Keith Davidson to Michael Cohen. I said I wanted this deal done before the nomination. And so Keith Davidson is sending to Cohen, get this done before the nomination. Prosecutor says, do you mean the election? Not the nomination, right? Yes, the election. This was the side letter. I was Peggy and Trump, was David Dennison. So getting it done before the election because she knows she'll have maximum leverage at that point. Her story is only valuable because it is threatening to Trump's electoral prospects in her mind. It has maximum damage capability, which means he'll pay maximum amount to make it go away. So what is this list, Stormy? She says, this is the list of people who knew. One is a Keith, but it's not Keith Davidson. Judge Mercant says, all right, everybody, it's lunchtime. We're taking a break. And we're back. Now, before we come back, one more reminder. You can support Inner City Press, who's doing this great reporting. We would not be able to do this without his reporting. You can go subscribe to his Substack, buy something of his on Amazon, send some love over at Venmo, or PayPal. And you see the links there on the screen. We're back from the break. Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, says, Your Honor, before we begin, the defense moves for a mistrial. Gasps all over the courtroom. Your Honor, we do that based on this morning's testimony. What we heard from Stormy Daniels was prejudicial, and it differs from the story that she was peddling before. There was no testimony about no condom, the spacing in the room, the power dynamic. This is all ridiculous. There was testimony about a second sexual advance, totally irrelevant to this case, and she kept saying it was in a public place. What the heck is the jury supposed to do with that, Your Honor? There was objection sustained, but it's still prejudicial. And so you came in here and you said, Your Honor, that there would be guardrails in here to stop Stormy Daniels and her testimony from going off rails, but it didn't work. This is an issue. And so we're going to cross-examine her shortly, presumably, but that's not really the issue here. What she testified today was about consent, was about danger. It's not what she was selling in 2016. It had nothing of that in her original story. And so her testimony today goes to the defendant's motive. This is the prosecutor now. So Todd Blanche wraps up. Okay, he's furious. He's saying none of this is relevant. And let's see where this goes before I comment on it. Prosecutor says, Your Honor, that's ridiculous. There should not be a mistrial here at all. Stormy's testimony today goes to Trump's motive. The lack of a condom has been out there for a long time. Everyone knows that. There were details that she only remembered after a movie in 2019. And they opened the door on that, by the way. They put in an exhibit saying that the 2011 threat was not true. And so she's just rebutting that. And so some of this is going to come out on cross, and I hope again on redirect, says the prosecutor. But Stormy testified that she was not directly threatened and that she did not say no. So the judge says, listen, okay, I can rule on this. I have enough. I agree that there were things that would have been better left unsaid. So this is the judge, in my opinion, making an admission that this was bad. Things that would have been better left unsaid. And that came out from the prosecutor during the direct exam. The judge says, well, I do think that the witness was hard to control, but I do not believe at this point that a mistrial is warranted. He says, I was surprised that there were not more objections from the defense, which is totally ridiculous because they objected at the very beginning. We put a pin in that at the start of this. And at one point, the court sua sponte objected. So I think this is the key indicator for what the Trump defense strategy was. They were allowing this to go off the rails. It's not their case. It's not their witness. They're not presenting anything. This is the government. And if they're coloring so far outside the lines about sex and assault and, I was drugged is where they were going. I felt like I was drugged. What? It's so far away that Trump's team is going to come back and say, this is reversible error. This is a mistrial. They're making their objections. They're allowing the government to just step in it. When your opponent is destroying themselves, the best thing you can do is just step out of the way. Just let them do it. So Trump made his objection, got that marked at the very beginning. We object to any details about sex. And there were several other objections. Some of those were sustained. But the court objected on its own. Sua sponte, on our own, I objected. So the judge is saying, I'm losing control of this trial. Not everybody, but I am. And the judge is getting freaked out that the Trump team is going to win this and reverse it on appeal, which is obviously going to be the case if he is convicted. But their timing is to postpone this until after the election because it's all about calling Trump a felon at the end of the day. So the judge says, well, if you want, I'll give a limiting instruction as to the 2011 parking lot incident. And Susan Necheles, Trump's lawyer, says, sorry, judge, we have already moved in advance on that. Okay, we had already tried to keep this all out. And you denied that. He said, no, that's not accurate, Miss Necheles. That's not accurate, says the judge. You did not try to keep this out. She says, yeah, we sure as hell did. It's why we didn't object all the time, because you already overruled us. You already said no. So we just let it go. And the judge is backpedaling here, right? That's not accurate, Miss Necheles. I didn't screw up. That, you know. So I'm going to deny your motion for a mistrial at this time. Do you want to discuss a limiting instruction so I can try to put this back in the bag? There's a sidebar. They come back. Judge announces, now, as discussed at the bench, we're going to take some more time. And so, Miss Necheles, you'll be back to me before Thursday morning. Is that right? She says yes. So then, Mercan, the judge, says, all right, everybody, listen. With the consent of the defense, Miss Hoffinger, Susan, who is doing the direct exam of Stormy, she has stepped out to give some instructions to her witness. She's going to go tell Stormy to stay focused and only answer what is asked. So the defense is there. Prosecutor goes out, has a little powwow with Stormy, saying, you know, Stormy, you're going to wreck our case here. Please stay on script here. And they bring her back in. Witness enters, jury comes in, and we're back on the screen. Miss Daniels, can you tell me what's up here? This is about delays in payment, that you didn't get paid for some time. Can you tell me what this email says? Put the email on the screen. Stormy Daniels is reading from the document. It says, no funds have been received, from an email. My client says that the deal is off unless the funds are received by 5 p.m. Signed, Keith. She says, it says the ab intit. I have no idea what that means, says Stormy. Prosecutor says it's ab initio. Ab initio. The ab initio is from the beginning, from the very start. Says, well, Stormy says, well, I spoke to Slate and they weren't going to pay me. And so at some point there was a new agreement, right? Yeah. And this new agreement, did you sign it? Yes, I did. And the side letter agreement, Stormy, did you sign that too? Yes, I did. I signed that one on October 28th, 2016, just, a week before the election. Now, did Keith Davidson take a few, I guess maybe money, take a few? Yeah. And Gina? Yeah. Did the Wall Street Journal reach out to you, Stormy? No, I don't think so. Okay. Well, was Mr. Trump ultimately elected? Stormy says, yes, he was. And how was your 2017? Stormy says it was great. 2017 was my best ever. I got a horse riding award. We know, well, we're sure she did. She's an expert rider and has an affinity to horses. My neighbors didn't know that they lived next to Stormy Daniels. Only my mom did. And what's this? Well, that's Keith D's denial. So people were denying that this affair took place. So I guess Keith, the lawyer, denied it. Was that denial cleverly misleading? Objection sustained. So we get some objections now that are being sustained. Did you see this 2018 story, Stormy? She says, I did. It outed me. That story hurt my daughter and her father. Objection sustained. Stormy, were you scheduled to go on the Jimmy Kimmel show? Yeah, I was. I was getting ready and Gina brought me the clothes and Keith Davidson, my lawyer. He had another statement that he came over and he had me sign. So I signed it as Stormy Daniels. But unlike any other time I signed, it was a tip-off to Kimmel. And Michael Cohen was also writing a book at the time, and it made me mad because Michael Cohen could talk about this story and I couldn't talk about it. Stormy, did Michael Cohen file a temporary restraining order against you? Yeah, he did. And did you hire Michael Avenatti at one point? So Michael Cohen had a restraining order against Stormy, which is crazy because they also podcasted together and maybe really enjoyed that podcast a little too much. You know what I mean? Did Michael Cohen file a restraining order against you? Yeah. It means she's like a psycho, right? Did you hire Michael Avenatti? If Michael Cohen, who is not a well person, if he goes in and convinces a judge that Stormy Daniels is, harassing him or a threat to him, we're talking about just the two worst. Unbelievable. Did you hire Michael Avenatti? Yeah. We canceled the NDA and we got fees. And so in your book, Full Disclosure, Stormy, does it describe both the encounter with Mr. Trump and does it describe incidents in your childhood? Yes, it does. And I later found out that Michael Avenatti had done some editing. And so maybe those stories weren't true. So blaming Michael, who says that she is also fraudulently conveying documentary money from NBC. Did Avenatti file a defamation case against Donald Trump? She says, yeah, he did, but I didn't agree to it. I thought it was risky. And she owes him like 600 grand on that for attorney's fees and a false, meritless charge, meritless claim. Government says to Stormy, did Avenatti put out a sketch regarding the 2011 threat? And did Mr. Trump tweet con job when that came out? Yes, I did. Was Mr. Trump awarded legal fees when you sued him? Yes, he was. 600 grand. Is Mr. Avenatti your lawyer now? Stormy laughs. No. He's in jail for like 19 years. And how about those legal fees that you owe to Trump? Have you paid those legal fees, Stormy? No, I don't have the money, and I didn't think it was fair anyways. Do those legal fees have any relation to this case at all? No, they don't. Stormy, did you go on any podcasts with Michael Cohen? Ugh, gosh. Yes, I did. I did it because I wanted to hear him apologize, and Michael Cohen did. And then we did one up with Michael Avenatti. So they were podcasting each other for sure. And did you get $100,000 from a documentary called Peacock? She says, yes, I did. Maybe that's from Peacock. I don't know. So she got 100 grand from some sort of a documentary. So now they want to show her some of these images. This is Government 408. This is a Truth Social post. It is Horseface, which honestly, she should cherish that nickname since she is an equestrian award-winning horse rider with a horse face. It's perfect. From the post, the jailbird Michael Cohen, Trump calls him a sleazebag. Government says, has Trump ever called you a sleazebag before? She says, yes. And is the post false? It is. No further questions. So Trump's posts are false. She's already lost a defamation claim, owes him 600 grand for that. She has some of the least credible stories we've ever heard here. She's a professional sex worker who has sex for money and then gets a little bit woozy and is suddenly a victim of attack. She's trying to Me Too this whole situation out of nowhere. There was a power imbalance. Whatever, lady. You were trying to get on The Apprentice. You went there 5 times, 6 times to go try to do that. And suddenly you're under attack now. It's ridiculous. It's not credible. Even if you say that they did have intercourse, even if you say that, right? What she said is logically inconsistent, right? Doesn't make any sense. Hopefully the jury is seeing that. So they wrap up. I think that there was a real prickly position there for that judge. He caught himself in a position where he had to object. Why? Why did he have to object? If the government was coloring in the lines, why does he have to sua sponte stop them? It's because they were coloring way outside the lines and they were about to step in it. And the defense felt, okay, if our opponents are making a mistake, we'll just step out of their way. And that's exactly what they did. And the judge scolded them for that because he knows he done goofed. So it is now your witness. Trump's lawyer, Susan Necheles, stands up. He says, good morning, Stormy. Good afternoon. I represent President Trump. Now, isn't it true, Stormy, that you've met with prosecutors and you rehearsed your testimony with them? She says, no, I didn't rehearse anything. But you pretended to be cross-examined, didn't you? No. Well, you said mock, right? You said you had to mock something. She says, well, that's no longer right. That's not what I really meant, is we didn't do a mock anything, and so I don't think that's right. So no. He says, okay. I'm sure. Now, Stormy, you also said that you did porn for more money didn't you? You did porn for money, right? She says, don't we all? It's kind of what we do here. Like we all work for money, I guess. So I guess she's equating what's happening in our courts to pornographers, which I guess is not that far off. I mean, the Democrats on MSNBC are acting accordingly with what Mercan's doing. So don't we all? That's what we do here, she says. Susan says, all right, listen, Stormy, let's just be clear about this. Isn't it true? You hate President Trump, don't you? Yes, I do. And you wrote that you'll dance when he's jailed, right? Can you show me that? Sure. Well, you wrote when he's selected to go to jail. Did you say you just laugh about it? Well, someone else wrote the word select. So I didn't say that, but I did think it's funny. And it's not because you think this is all funny, right? You don't think this is funny, do you? You thought that was funny, Trump going to jail, that's funny, but you don't think this is funny, like this is not a joke to you, is it? No, I don't think so. And so isn't it true you owe him about $500,000 in legal fees? Well, I'm not sure of the money or the dates. I don't know. Well, I do. I'll know the dates. How about March 2022, Stormy? Isn't it true you were ordered to pay attorney's fees for the appeal too, right? So the judgment and the appeal. Yes, yeah. And you got even more money you were owed to pay in 2023 because of your frivolous suit against objection sustained. So they can't get into that. Susan says, Stormy, you do have money, right? You said you had no money, but you do have some money, right? Well, we all have money, but you have said that you are never going to pay that money. Didn't you say that? Correct. Your Honor, I move to offer her tweet into evidence. There's an objection and that's sustained for whatever reason. There's a sidebar and now it's accepted. The tweet says from Stormy, I will go to jail before I pay a penny in absolute violation of a court order. So Stormy, when you posted that tweet, that was you basically saying that you didn't care about a federal order from a judge. Isn't that right? She said, well, I'm not going to pay a dime for telling the truth. And so you wrote this, didn't you? You said, I don't owe him shit, and I'll never give that orange turd a dime. Didn't you say that? Yes, I did. And you make fun of how he looks too, right? He did it first. You made fun of how he looks, right? But he made fun of me first. And so you are refusing to fill out an assets form so that you don't have to log your assets to pay Trump money. No, that's false, says Stormy. And did you give an interview to Jeff Toobin and say you would not fill out the form? Did you do that? You're not going to pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars? Well, they asked about my daughter on the form. Well, only her name. So let me show you J10A. Do you recognize it? She says, yeah, now this is an email from my attorney. And you only partially filled out this form, didn't you? Objection sustained. Your Honor, may we approach here? Trump sits down with Blanche at the defense table. There's a sidebar. So we see we're trying to get Stormy pinned down on disclosure of her assets, right? She owes Trump a bunch of money. And this goes to her bias and her motivation. Why might she want Trump found guilty? Why might she want him imprisoned? So she doesn't have to pay him $500,000, right? If she owes him that money, she'd like to see him also burn. So none of her testimony is credible at all based on that alone. But you wrote this, I don't owe him crap, right? And I'll never give that orange turd a dime. So she's got some pretty animated bias here. And the court says, fill out a form because we're going to go take your money because you owe it to Trump. It's a court order. Your wages are going to be garnished. All your little video direction, they're all our money now. So get out there and ride some horses, man, because you got to earn that $600K back. She's not filling out the form. Do you recognize this? You refused to fill out the form. You only partially filled it out, right? Objection. Judge sustains it. You can't even talk about that. May we approach, Your Honor? Now, Susan Necheles comes back and says, show her page number something. And the judge screams, take that down. Okay, so they must have put it up on the screen, and he wants her to show it to Stormy first before publishing it. Says, okay, so it's off the screen. Judge screams it. Says, okay, well, let me hand you this then, Stormy. Okay, is this document? It's only partially filled out. It says in here income, but you say unknown on this document from a federal judge, right? She says, well, I won't fill out info that endangers my daughter. Well, I mean, it asks you what cars you own, right? And you're not going to answer what cars you own, right? She says, yeah, I'm not answering. Do you own a home, Stormy? She says, no. But you tweeted that you made so much in porn that you could just buy your ranch home, didn't you? Yeah, but we didn't buy it. And I don't remember saying that. I would have to see the tweet. She says, okay, fine. J17, here it is. I have it. You just posted in your tweet, you said, I just paid for my ranch with my disgusting degenerate behavior. I just paid for my ranch by getting railed by horses or whatever. I meant pay rent. I didn't pay for my ranch. I meant pay rent. Are you making money claiming to have had sex for more than a decade, right? Are you really, she says, really, are you making money claiming to have had sex for more than a decade, right? I make money telling my story. It also cost me money to do that. Stormy, didn't you speak with Gloria Allred? Yeah, I did. I told her I had sex with Donald Trump. And is this your book, Full Disclosure? Yes. And in your book, don't you say that Gina Rodriguez set up a call with Gloria Allred? Yes. And you told Gloria Allred that you did not have sex with President Trump, right? No, I told her I did have sex with him. Well, let me show you, Stormy. Hold on. You say you left out sex. Well, later I told her that we did, but you didn't put it in the book, did you, Stormy? Well, I would not go with force, so I said no. She asked if it was forced, and I said no, so I just said no. So you're just making this up now then, aren't you? I mean, you're kind of just making it up right now. Calls her out. It's all just made up. Says, well, I didn't trust her. And it taught you that if you want to make money off of President Trump, that you have to claim you had sex with him, right? No, but it seems to be that way. It's the only way, I guess, maybe I can make money. That is a wild admission. It taught you if you want to make money off Trump, you have to claim to have sex. No, but it seems to be that way. And when you spoke with In Touch and you gave them their interview, you were trying to sell your story, weren't you? You were trying to sell it, right? Not just give it away. You said you don't care about money, but you were trying to sell it. Now, at the same time, you were telling In Touch that you had sex with President Trump while threatening to sue the dirty.com to take it down. And she says, well, the dirty.com happened after the parking lot threat. She says, are you sure about that? You were saying it was bullshit while getting paid, and I'm sorry for the profanity, we're just going to say it, while getting paid $15,000 to say it was true. Because this is what Stormy was saying. You were saying it was BS while getting paid 15 grand to say it was true. So you were having both sides of this, right? She says, I did Anderson Cooper and they didn't pay me anything. Well, we'll get to that. I'm not there yet. The In Touch was a 22-page transcript, and you had that conversation in 15 minutes. And Stormy, after the threat that you got in the Vegas parking lot, after you got threatened, did you go to exercise class? I went to the restroom there, okay? So I got attacked in Vegas, and then I went to the restroom, and I waited for the next class. And I was crying in the bathroom, but I said my daughter had a diaper blow up. She said, oh, you were crying. That's interesting. This is the first time we heard that you were crying in the bathroom after your Vegas attack. Well, I did just say she had a blowout. She gestures at the jury, whatever that means. I don't know. Susan Necheles continues. Okay, so you didn't even tell the father of your baby that you got assaulted in Vegas, did you? No, I didn't. And you said nothing about this until 7 years later with your daughter in danger is when this first came out. That's right. So, Stormy, let's be clear. Isn't it true that you actually made up this threat to explain why you never said you had sex with Trump, right? No, that's not true. I did say it on a radio station in Tampa as well. But you told Anderson Cooper that you never said it before. So I was scared. That's why I said that. And both you and Michael Cohen, you hope to make money if President Trump is, right? Objection sustained. Susan says, Stormy, isn't it true that you commissioned a sketch of the person who threatened you in Vegas? She says, I didn't, but Michael Avenatti did. Shall we take a break? Judge says, yeah, of course. Like, follow, subscribe to all Matthew Russell Lee's stuff because this is just outstanding. We're back. We fast forward. Stormy is going to be back on the stand on Thursday. We're not going to finish with cross today. Trump's lawyer, Susan Necheles, continues. Says, Ms. Daniels, in E, you were quoted. You said in that magazine, you said the story is BS. You said that, that's your word. But didn't you say he vehemently denied to E hooking up with President Trump? She says, I don't remember that. So you're saying that there were articles that where the article says you vehemently deny the story, that's false. So they publish, they say you deny that. You say that's false. Yes, yes. And you told the Dirty to take it down. No, I didn't do it. Keith did. He was Gina's lawyer, and I authorized him to take it down. Stormy, in 2011, the story wasn't worth much, right? But then it was worth a lot more in 2016, wasn't it? She says, well, I set a free press conference, so I didn't care about the money because I did a free press conference, and I set one. Yeah, but you never held it. You never did hold your press conference. You say you were threatened if you spoke, and so you went out and spoke? You didn't tell anybody about the threat, and you decided that you were going to go speak? Stormy says, well, it was a new ball game, okay? I had college confidence. I listened to Brene Brown or something. Trump's lawyer, Necheles, says, in this text, Gina said, I have Stormy Daniels. So Gina says, I have Stormy Daniels. Please read Dylan Howard. Stormy says, we already denounced it previously. Now, I don't want to comment that if I don't understand what they are talking about. Necheles says, well, didn't you say this in a quote? She had sex with him. She wants $100K. Sounds like you're interested in the money there, Stormy, doesn't it? She says, well, I authorized Gina Rodriguez to shop the story. I wanted to get the story out and make some money too. Oh, man, she just admitted it. At the end of the day, I wanted to make some money too. Yeah, you wanted to be on The Apprentice. You wanted to shop your story around. All of these little stories are just made up so that you can justify bringing your claim. This happened decades ago, and it only became valuable. Trump was only willing to put this story to bed, whether it happened or not, because he was on the verge of winning the election, right? And so she says, well, there's now some leverage. It's now worth a lot more. Even though she had repeatedly denied it, she's trying to get her bag. So this was a very spicy day. Now, we're going to come back on Thursday, no trial on Wednesdays, and we're going to come back with Stormy Daniels back on the bench, continuing with cross-examination here. And so, of course, we want to shout out Matthew Russell Lee. Send him some PayPal, send him some Venmo, subscribe to his Substack, follow him on X for delivering this amazing reporting. We also have President Trump, who came out and spoke after that testimony, and let's see what he had to say about this. Of course, you can see after court was over, a bunch of people standing outside. This Secret Service dude is not moving at all. He is poised. He is ready to defend against any threats. And Trump walks out, gold tie.
What do you think of Stormy's testimony?
So this was a very big day.
That's
a
true.
very revealing day. As you see, the case is totally falling apart. They have nothing on books and records, and even something that should bear very little relationship to the case. It's just a disaster for the DA, for the Soros-backed DA. It's a disaster. This whole case is just a disaster. If you read the legal scholars, you'll see, because they're writing about it, they've never seen anything quite like it. And neither have I. I should be out campaigning right now. We're leading in all the polls. I'd like to be campaigning. We'll be leading by a lot more. But I just want to appreciate the job you're doing. It's not easy standing there all day waiting, but you're hearing the same things that we're hearing. On another matter, as you know, it's Biden's backers that seem to be funding what's going on with the Palestinians. They're probably not.
Yeah, a bunch of Biden donors. We talked about that on Locals this morning.
Agitators. Bad agitators, really bad. And I think our government ought to find out who they are, where they're from, and treat them the same way as they do the J6 hostages. You got to treat them the same way. These are agitators. They're really hurting our country. It's happening all over the country in cities. You saw what happened last night at the Metropolitan Museum. These are agitators. And in some of the colleges, I think it's about 20% student and 80% others. So this is a big problem, and they better nip it on the bud. And it's a problem from the left, not from the right. This is a problem from the left. And I hope you're going to stress that. The economy is not doing well. You see inflation is through the roof. They're not going to be able to lower interest rates. If they do, it's purely political. But it'll be very bad if they do. From the standpoint of getting rid of inflation, you have to get rid of the inflation. Inflation, as you probably have heard me say,
it's terrible.
It's a country buster. It busts countries.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And it has for 1,000 years. You go back and you look at old-time Germany, you look at a lot of countries that went through the kind of inflation we're going through, and they're busted. They are just broken up in many cases into little pieces, and that's what could actually happen to us. So we have to get inflation under control. We have to get prices down so that people can breathe, people can live, so they can live. But again, this was a very revealing day in court. Any honest reporter would say that. I would recommend you read Jonathan Turley and Andrew McCarthy and Alan Dershowitz, Greg Jarrett,
Watching the Watchers.
Mark Levin,
Watching the Watchers.
very talented people, and others. There's some incredible people out there that are writing about this trial. They're calling it a disgrace.
It is a disgrace, Mr. President.
In the meantime, I'm stuck. I'm here. Instead of being in Georgia, instead of being in New Hampshire, instead of being in Wisconsin, and all the different states that we wanted to be in, we're not able to be there because we're stuck in this trial, which everyone knows is a hoax. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So revealing today.
Should there still be a mistrial?
Yes, of course there should.
Why is the case a disaster?
All right, so there's the whole crew. There's Alina Abba on the left. Eric Trump's there following up in the wing. And so that, my friends, is it for us on the day. We covered two good whopper segments. Stormy Daniels pounded in trial during cross-examination, and we'll be back here on Thursday to watch the pounding continue. We also had Avenatti expose this fraud, which I think is very, very curious. That's a recorded phone call. They'll probably be able to investigate, see if those LLCs exist or what that trust looks like, and how Stormy was maneuvering and falsifying her own business records, all in New York and elsewhere. So, my friends, that is it for us on the day. Of course, now it's time to hear from you. And we're very grateful that you're joining us here today. We're going to be covering this trial and all of the rest of the Trump litigation here. We go live every single day at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. We'd love to have you come back here. So thank you, my friends. If you're joining us today for the first time, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video. Thanks for coming on back. We'll be back here tomorrow to talk about the Florida case. And there's a lot going on there. So Jack Smith and forged cover sheets and all sorts of stuff we'll get into. So we also have a members only community. We do live streams in the mornings before we go live here at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We have a ton of fun. We talk about a bunch of other stuff that we can't get into here on this live stream. We have a great community. We'd love to have you join us. It's a great way to support the show, meet some awesome people, and have some fun. So thank you so much, my friends, for joining us. Let's see who is here and joining us on the day. We had some new membos come in, and so grateful for your support here with membos and super chats. You guys are amazing. Let's see who is here. We got Dolphin Fan is the man, bringing in 5 new membos. Dolphin Fan is the man, bringing in Rick O'Shea. We got Kay Christensen, Mary M, Douglas D, and Steve O, all coming in courtesy of Dolphin Fan is the man. Bad Poet says, Juan the Con Mercon. I'm still betting, a Bad Poet says, I'm still betting his wife got him appointed as a DNC judge. Then the daughter got the job to do the laundry. Well, the Authentic campaign raised $93 million for Joe and other Democrats. Old Coach Crane, Membo for 8 months, one more to a baby, says, thank you for everything. Could they Epstein Trump at Rikers? I don't know. I mean, the Secret Service, I don't think is going to give up jurisdiction of him practically. But I understand what you're saying. Maybe not at Rikers, but, you know, it's a morbid thought, but these people are sick. CGI Joe, bringing in 5 new membos. Gaming with Jammer, Ryan's here, Villainy Fortitude, Southern Comfort, and Kimmy G, all gifted membos, courtesy of CGI Joe in the house. Hey, what's up, Larry Smay on the YouTubes as a membo, says HB Poole had ducks like the Sopranos. Yeah, I was telling a duck story this morning. I was walking around downtown Phoenix. You know, I got some nice neighborhoods to walk around. There's no water anywhere. And I saw 3 ducks in some guy's grass in the front yard. I'm like, what the heck? I didn't even think that they were real. I thought that they were fake. And, but they were real. Hey, what's up? Steve O is our new supporter over on the YouTubes. Welcome aboard, Steve O. David Webb is coming in as a supporter. Welcome aboard, David. We'll see you on our member stream in the morning. Nancy H. Man, we're getting some new membos coming in. Super grateful to see everybody. Nancy H is coming in. We got Judy W. Welcome aboard as a new supporter. We got Laura G supporting us on the tubes. Welcome, Susie W. Woo! Look at all these membos. Steve C, welcome aboard as a new membo. Bill C, welcome. And Bruce Wayne Batman is here. All coming in, man. Grateful to our new membos. We'll see you guys all in the morning as well on our members only morning stream. We got Spud says, NBC is now a porno network. Well, they do have a whole network called Peacock now. And Stormy Daniels is, I guess, like their hit show. So, Donut Mind Me clipping for us on the day, bringing in, hey, it's the Munkets, bringing in 10 new membos. Johnny Boy got a membo, Little Paws, Tazzy Wazzy, what day is it? Is here. BJ Marshall, Patty G, Nicole B, CA Human, Eric H, and Man of Steel, gifted membos, courtesy of Tony Hay Munkets. Hey, it's the Munkets. Hey, what's up? Charlie Wolf King Reed in the house. Thank you, Charlie W. Appreciate the dono and you being here with us. Chubby Stubby says, since Biden just proclaimed that causing property damage is illegal and isn't protesting, I guess we'll finally start seeing the DOJ hunt down and arresting the Summer of Love degenerates. Can't wait to see the results of those trials, from Chubby. If we lived in a country where equal standards applied, but we don't anymore. 200 Watt Studio says Stormy Daniels pounded in court. XXX 2024. Oh, gosh, I know that title. There's a great super chat coming up. And you guys all might be getting, I'll leave it. I'll save it. Michael Allen Hughes says, who owns the home Stormy is renting? Good question, Michael Allen Hughes. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Michael Allen. Good question. Who knows? Maybe Fanny's friend. Hey, what's this one? This one came in from, let's see. Stormy pounded. Okay, so that's an image. Yeah. It says, here you go, Rob. Thumbnail for your stream. Read the Hope Hicks transcripts. MSM is such garbage in how they launched that. What's up, Rick D? Bringing in Tim D, Mr. W, Frosted S, Don W, and Anonymous J. Brought in by Rick D in the house. Thanks, Rick, for being a membo. Bringing in 5 new membos. What's up, Lady Ice? Says Cash Patel was on Benny Johnson's show. Shout out to both of those gentlemen. Explaining the documents case, among other things. Very interesting. Also, Government Gangsters, the movie, is coming soon. Uncle 60 says, can Trump sue Midas Touch podcaster lawyers for defamation? They say nasty things about Trump every day, all day too. Their channel's crazy. Midas Touch, those guys. They have like a new video out every 30 minutes. All anti-Trump. It's wild. If you want to go see something that's like a mental breakdown of a bunch of adults, go to their channel. Pinochet's helicopter tours. Bringing in, has been a member for 4 months, says, be like a general, like Augusto Pinochet. Be like a general, like Augusto Pinochet. Wink, wink. Since it's Pinochet's helicopter tours. Good to see you. We got 1917 Beamer says, Gateway Pundit has a story about Michael Colangelo, and Post Millennial has Mercan's daughter getting 400 grand from Whitmer. Yeah, I have the Matthew Colangelo story about, he got paid, I think, 12 grand from the DNC. We'll talk about that maybe Thursday. What's up, Glocky says, I mean, since we're talking about books, why are Democrat AGs praising groups like Antifa? And does anyone honestly think a judge would let this picture in if someone put Keith Ellison on trial? No, probably not. Yeah, Antifa, the anti-fascist handbook, even though they're fascists. Hey, Drunk Pinata says, if Cohen executed the NDA contract with the plan to be reimbursed by Trump later, why did he call Davidson December 2016 freaking out about not being paid? Yeah, good question. I don't know. Cohen was, I think, regularly freaking out, I think is what a lot of the testimony said. And maybe he thought Trump was just going to go into the White House and forget about him or something. You know, maybe he just wanted to get paid before the transition, before the inauguration. That would be my only thought. Here's one. Says, Rob, I'm getting flashbacks to a frat party I was never at because of your stream. This post assaulted me. I know. It's very easy to be assaulted these days. Sheila basically nothing even has to happen. Stormy Daniels like, I feel like I was drugged. Were you? No. Oh, okay. Sheila P. What's up? Bringing in 10 new membos. Leonardo, Jess A. Theory, J.R. Williams, Billy R., D. Mathers, 1968 Camaro, The One Joe, Motivational Humor Happiness. We got Austin L. and Das Mole coming in courtesy of Sheila P. Sheila, thank you for being amazing and bringing in 10 new membos. Hey, Glocky says, you're hated. Train like it. It's a good idea. It's true. It's true. No one's coming to save us. Catherine Rex, a membo for 10 months, says, what's up? Hey, fam, in a lot of pain, but mending. Yes, Catherine. I know you had a foot injury. Hopefully that is, you're recovering quickly, mending well, sending you good healing energy your way. Glocky's in the house, says, Trump is a well-documented germaphobe. No way in heck you can convince me he touched this skank in bed. Trump's like, you're disgusting. And I want nothing to do with you. Gustav, 12 months, happy anniversary, says Trump's doc case suspended indefinitely. Big win. Yeah, that case is going off the rails, and it's Jack Smith who's causing it. It's great. So we're going to get into Florida. We've got a lot to get caught up on tomorrow. It's going to be great. But thank you for flagging that for us as well, Gustav. Roy MC says, is publicist a metaphor for pimp? I don't know. She calls herself like a film director and a horseback rider, an equestrian. Okay, Stormy. Oh, we're sure. All right, JC says, not all of wrestling is scripted. Yeah, I mean, I remember when Trump hit that dude with a chair. Are you sure that's fake? The blind lawyer says, Amber Heard stepped on a bee. Stormy Daniels had to pee. What do they have in common? Both are bees. Yeah. Stephen M says, we submit clips from Stormy's P-Hub account. They just submit her whole playlist. Gosh. Knox is here, says, happy Taco Tuesday. Defense attorney in Texas says, I think this judge is starting to feel pretty soiled and dirty listening to this crap. I'm assuming he's presided over real trials. I kind of got that sense too, Knox, from what we read today. He's like, oh no, like we went way overboard here. I should have not let this in, or I should have really. He was backpedaling. It felt like he was backpedaling today. Well, why didn't you object, defense? We've been objecting for like 4 weeks, Your Honor. Stephen M says, Stormy DJT Stormy says DJT has small hands. Could you feel anything? I guess is a question, which we don't want to know the answer to. Hey, Voice of the People says there was 22,000 people watching. Did you see that? I did see it, man. I'm humbled. These are the cases and how they are handled. Only one that seems straight is the Judge Cannon case, and she's Trump appointed. Yeah. And she's not even, aggressively in favor of Trump. She's just somewhat neutral. She's like, hey, Jack Smith, I thought you said that that the documents were in the exact order. They're not. So you lied to me? Only one, she, is normal, and they're freaking out. All of the reaction as soon as she postponed. She vacated the date. They were supposed to start trial, I think, was that in May 20th, I think? Like immediately. So they're all freaking out. How does Trump keep getting away with this? They're going to have to bring this back to J6. So classified docs case, obviously not going. So J6 will be the next one. And we'll see what SCOTUS does with that. And if that even stays around, what's going on? Thank you for that, Voice of the People. Really grateful for everyone who joined us. It's really, I think it's amazing that people are interested in this, and how we do it here. I think it's just great because it's getting more eyeballs on what's ultimately happening, and their effort is to stop that from happening. They don't want, even when they release the transcripts, it is difficult to parse through them because they separate it out. They try to obfuscate the truth. We're trying to unwind that, and I'm grateful to be here. We got Jigam says, I love how Rob is so animated when he reads. It cracks me up. Sometimes I don't even know where I am. Tough McDuff. Thank you, Jigam, for saying that. And very nice dono, Jigam. Thank you for that one. I have fun, man. It's a lot of fun. And the trials are so ridiculous. It's kind of a bit of a circus in and of itself. Tough McDuff says, great. Now I got to explain why I spent an hour on a video called Stormy Daniels Pounded to my wife. Love that one. But amazing. So everybody's watch history now has Stormy Daniels Pounded in it. I apologize in advance for all of the relationship trauma that you're about to go through, Tough McDuff. Good luck. Golden Gaming says Animal Farm in real life, donkey in Juan the Khan's kangaroo court. Democrats in Juan the Khan's kangaroo court. Good to see you, Golden Gaming. Thanks for being a member for 13 months, my good man. That is a long time. We're grateful to have you. Many more to go. Hey, Jeremiah D stopping by says, free the Trump, man. Thank you for streaming this. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thanks for the dono. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for being here. Hopefully we see you back here tomorrow. Leaders says that he is a new member. Grateful to see you, Leaders. Welcome aboard. We'll see you in the morning on our members only stream. This old guy says, listening to Daniel's story change makes me dizzy, as dizzy as she was in Tahoe. Is there a power imbalance that you're suffering from, this old guy? It's just ridiculous. It's a great comment. Rub some dirt on it says, why does Trump keep skipping the SO for watching the watchers? Oh, the shout out. I don't know. We got to get on Trump's radar, I guess. We got to work harder to get on his radar. Chubby says, I've heard from people in the know that today's cross was the best pounding anyone has ever seen Stormy take. Yeah, you could, the people put those, well, we'll just leave that alone. Yes. I wonder if somebody will upload one of those videos to one of those websites. Stormy got pounded in court in front of entire nation, one of those videos. There's always some funny memes about that. What's up? Hey, it's the Munkets. Bringing in 5 new membos. Tony, hey, thank you, Tony. Bringing in Christian P, Danny L, Cyndia M, Lawanda D. We got the Zeke. All coming in courtesy of Tony Hey Munkets. Grateful to see you. Welcome in our new friends. We got Jennifer says, thank you for the update, Rob. YouTube chat erupted at your swear word slip, though. Gonna have to add a coin to the swear jar today. I know, it just came out. I couldn't help it. Sorry. I did it twice, I think. I know. It's not going to happen again, okay? It's apologies. I'll swear jar it up big time. But I wanted to be accurate. I wanted to show the vulgarity of this degenerate. So we had to break some of our rules here. But we'll be back. We'll be better maybe on Friday when Stormy's off. We all got a little bit, we wanted to be accurate here, Hey, what's up? Curtis B says, thank you again, Rob and mods. Curtis B, 22 months as a membo. Thanks for being a membo. And we have the best mods. And it's grateful to have you, Curtis, for 22 full months. Amazing. B-Man says, suppose Judge Mercan the Khan asked the Secret Service supposedly he's already asked the Secret Service to put Trump in jail. They said it was a no-go. Yeah, we did talk about an article on that, I think maybe on a member stream, or an after party. But I do remember seeing that. Even an ankle monitor, they would say, you're not monitoring the president. He's our custody. So no, good luck. Thank you, B-Man. This one from Jet Ski Spearfishing Adventures out of Tampa. That sounds awesome. Thank you for becoming a supporter on our channel. Next time I'm in Tampa, that sounds awesome. Go out on a jet ski and spearfish? Are you kidding me? Okay, maybe next trip is to Tampa. Hey, what's up, Stephen M? Says Bragg looks to gag Stormy. Yeah, there were a lot of great jokes. You know who had some funny ones today was Jack Posobiec. Jack Posobiec was saying like Stormy was asking if there was going to be a hung jury today. It's great. Stormy Daniels walks in. Your Honor, are we going to be fortunate enough to have a hung jury today? Like, stop, okay, for 2 seconds. This is a court of law, not your little porno studio. Relax. What's up, Stephen M? Thank you for that. Jonathan M says, can any interlocutory appeal to the New York City court occur? Well, they've tried that. And I mean, they were appealing a bunch of stuff before the trial started. So at this point, the answer is no. They filed, maybe 10 different things to try to get this all stayed. And the answer is no from the Court of Appeals. So the New York indictment did not state a crime and conspiracy, didn't state conspiracy at all. And funds, rights to travel, privacy, and voting have all been impeded. You know, I mean, Good Logic is working on this right now. He's working on the gag order at least. So one of his rights to free speech is being gagged and is being removed from him. And Good Logic is busy digging into this. So make sure you follow him too. Good Logic right next door on all the apps. We've got Mr. E Illusions says, I'm curious. George Soros is blamed repeatedly for supporting the overthrow of our American way of life. Why is he not under investigation for insurrection and treason? I don't know if he's ever been investigated. I don't know if he's ever falsified business records. My guess is they could probably find a crime that he had committed if they wanted to. He's probably very protected because he's the private arm of CIA spending or some other foreign intelligence agency spending or whatever. So he just doesn't cross the line, and he's a protected part of our ruling class. Christine says, my new favorite channel. Christine, what a nice compliment. Thanks for saying that. Thanks for joining us. Grateful to have you here. We'll have a lot more coverage tomorrow and the rest of the week, and we can't wait to get to it. We got Lady Ice says, Stormy said she was fresh out of F's, but not fresh out of them. I wonder when she ran out. Ew. Yeah, that is an ew. Interesting image there. I see that one from Freedom Gear. We'll jump over that one. Bad C. What's up, Bad C? Welcome as our newest supporter. Grateful to have you. We got Richard A's in the house. Very nice to have you as a supporter. Crash says, it seems to me that Juan needs to steel himself. He has allowed this fiasco to run amok. Wait till Cohen starts running his pie hole. Juan has no one to blame but himself. Yeah, look, Cohen lied again in another courtroom. So they're going to bring him back in, and this judge is going to allow that to go off. This whole thing is a disaster. Hey, Katrina M., welcome as our newest supporter. Very nice to have you. We have a lot of new supporters. Very excited about that. Ike's Girl is here. Says, can we shorten Stormy's name to STD now? Yeah, that makes sense. STD, right? ST for Stormy, D for Daniels. STD. Yeah. It makes perfect sense. STD Stormy. Yeah. Stormy Daniels, STD for short. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Hey, Donut Mind Me bringing in 5 new membos. We got Trena C, Raphael V, Andy H, Kyle C, and Anki D, all in the house, courtesy of Dolphin Fan is the man. Voice of the People says, that's right, the Cannon case was on May 20th. What were they saying about keeping Trump tied up for a few more weeks? Yeah, they were trying to stack these things, right? So Trump would be in trial now. As soon as he gets done in New York, he goes to Florida. As soon as he's done in Florida, he goes back over to Georgia. As soon as he's done in Georgia, all election season. And Cannon just said, no, sorry. And SCOTUS might say, no, sorry. to Jack Smith's case. Fannie's RICO case, that's obviously not going to happen before the election. And so this might be their only one that they get. What's up, voice? We got Xena Z, a membo for 14 months. Horse face. I wonder if Trump knew she rode. Yeah, she goes to horses. She's a tremendous rider. Riding all around. 14 months as a membo. Thank you, Xena. We got Lemon Zinger. Says, when witnesses get cross-examined, the day always ends. It seems they never finish the cross-examination of any witness. What's up with that? A lot of that, I think, is timing. You know, you kind of try to find a natural break, and they just don't line up appropriately. What we've been noticing here is that they start, a lot of the Trump energy gets broken by the end of the day. When you're on a cross roll, boom, 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 Stormy's all emotional. Boom, hitting her, boom, boom, boom. Now she gets to go relax. She gets to think about it. She gets to compose herself, come back, have a fresh shake at it. You kind of don't want to break that momentum. Like when you're running up the score on somebody, you want to keep that momentum going. So they get broken up. Facts matter. 20 months as a membo, 2+ babies, and onward. Says justice for us real equestrians. Yeah, shout out to our equestrians out there. It's really a disservice to your profession. Horses are great, beautiful animals. And you have Stormy Daniels now, who's like, I'm an equestrian, award winner equestrian. You're like, you just ruined the whole beauty of this whole industry. Hey, Richard L., what's up as our new supporter? Welcome aboard. First Amendment says cross-examination is so much fun. I know, it's fun. I love it. It's a lot of fun. And today was good. Pritchie's here, bringing in 10 new membos. Thank you, Pritchie. Amazing. Membo, bringing in membos. Michael L., Napoleon S., Robert C., Thad the Man, Mike S. Stop sniffing kids, Joe, is here. Feline Fun, XRP Panic, John S., and June Love, all gifted membos, courtesy of Pritchie. Bringing in 10 new membos. Thank you, Pritchie, for doing that. Hey, Glenn Croy also informing us Cannon has postponed the docs case indefinitely. Very good to see you, Glenn. Thanks for that. Roy MC says, wasn't Soros also protected by the Nazis during World War II and then the coalition thereafter? Yeah, I think that's right. I think I saw a clip about that. Didn't he say something like he worked with the Nazis or something? Yeah, probably. Hey, here's one. Michael Cohen with a Cohen of shame. It's so that he doesn't go on Stormy's podcasts anymore. The cone is to keep him off of TikTok, right? Alvin Bragg put this around him so he can't touch his phone. Cohen's like bumping into the walls, trying to find his phone. Where's my phone? Where's my TikTok? I got to do my TikTok tonight. Where's my TikTok? Keeping him out of there. That's a good one, Jigam. Hey, Pritchie's here. Sat back in the hospital with another infection, but this show is seriously making me feel better. What a blow up today was. Totally, Pritchie. So first of all, man, heal up quickly. I'm sorry you're back in the hospital. We're going to send some good love and healing energy your way. And we're glad that you're able to join us. Hopefully you recover quickly, kick that thing, and you get back out there. But thanks for joining us, man. Yeah, it was a wild day. It's like what we're watching just a whole new era of law. Wild times. Thank you, Pritchie, for that one. Rest up. Hey, Renball. Hey, Renball. Thanks for saying this one. Says, just found your channel. Great. Save America. We're working on it, man. We're working on it, Renball. Thanks for being a part of the effort, man. Yeah, Save America. We're working on it. We're working hard. I know you are too. So thanks for joining us. Super amazing. And we had some other great comments come in. So Renball, thanks for joining us on our first one. On your first one. Very nice to have you. Let's say hello to our friends on X, and then we're going to go over to Locals for our members only after party. We do an after party every day after the show to debrief, hang out with our Locals friends, and have some fun. Here, we got some memes over here. Paul Me Knows in the house. What's up, Paul? Says, quite possibly your most cheeky segment title to date. Pounded in court, indeed. Thank you, Paul. I was pretty happy with that one. I had a couple permutations that I was working on, like Stormy railed in court, other things. I thought pounded was pretty good. It looked like it matched well. Stormy pounded in court. All right. You are hereby admonished. Good to see you, Paul Me Know. Hopefully you're doing well, my man. Danny McWilliams says, why would any judge allow this to happen in a case about election fraud? Well, I think they want to just smear Trump. It's about being, oppositional to Trump, dragging his name through it, trying to make this a political smear. But you're right, it has nothing to do with a false business record, really. James Pepper is saying that the courthouse is on radiation or something, from James Pepper. Interesting. So saying something about radium, very strange. Fred says, Rob, you said Janet Jamison was another porn star, but that was not stated in the transcript anywhere. How do you know? Independent research, independent research out there. What's up? Mama's here. Says, wait, what happened? Mama, wait, what happened? A lot. Well, today was a lot. And Pounded, we got some more Pounded comments. TJ King, what's up, Raven Madness? This is a good meme. Here's a good one. Judge Juan Mercan says, you will respect the dignity of this courtroom. Now bring out the porn star. Let's get this trial started. Hilarious. What a great meme. Now bring out the porn star. And as soon as we're done with her, we'll get the liar, get the perjurer on top of it. Great one. Too funny. All right. So very, very good stuff. Let's see what else is over on X before we wrap it up. We had Gen X Rising. Says, I see what you did there with that title. And yeah, here's a bunch of good ones. Okay. These are from Posobiec. Okay. So Posobiec was rounding these up, I think, all day. Prosecutors have just requested Stormy Daniels slow down in the courtroom. Stormy Daniels just asked the judge if he wants to gag her. Alvin Bragg has a lot riding on Stormy Daniels today. Sources say he's hoping she doesn't blow it in court. Stormy Daniels just asked if there was going to be a hung jury. She's like, please? Here's one. I heard Stormy Daniels wanted to settle out of court, but the judge insisted on a climax. Stormy Daniels now asking if Trump is convicted, if he will be doing hard time. Stormy Daniels just requested being sentenced to community service because she's been servicing the community for years. Oh, great. All right. Are there sidebar questions recorded by the court reporter in Con Mercan's court? Generally, no, I don't think so. We're not going to see those in the transcripts. Al Holman says, could DOJ avoid questions from Cannon by dropping all charges in the Docs case? Yeah, but I think that would beg more questions. I mean, if they did that, they'd say, well, their case is really bad. And why was it so bad? Like, it would be an admission that they committed some misconduct if they dropped the charges. So I don't think that would be a smart play from them. But yeah, I mean, if the case is done, Stormy blew it. Hey, Old Vegas is here. Freedom's Warrior. Truth Warrior. A lot of comments. We got John G. Case is exploding. Trump wins again. Kevin says, like your play on words. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, today was, it was almost too easy. It's like, come on, Stormy Daniels. How can you not take advantage? All right, so my friends, couple other comments before we wrap it up. Our friend Words Mean Things over on Locals. Last week, we sent her some good healing, loving energy and prayer. And she says back, this is a great update. Woo! Hey, Rob and Watcher fam, not to detract from the great stream, but I wanted to thank you again for your prayers for my surgery last week. Everything went well. My test results came back clean, perfect. So grateful to this community for so many reasons. We love your Words. Thanks for letting us know you were going through that. Thanks for giving us an update now that you've gone through it. I'm very glad that it went well. We did send some good love and some good prayer and some good energy your way. And it works, man. It works. That stuff works. That's why we do it. So thanks, Word. I'm glad that it's good. Test back good. Tremendous news. Grateful for the update. We also had one from Alaya. What's up, Alaya? Welcome, our new supporter on the YouTubes. We'll see you in the morning. Quarter Native says, I fell asleep and I'm super late. Can you explain to the peeps why the J6 Docs case, why and what constituted evidence tampering? Yeah, so we'll go through that in full detail tomorrow, but the tampering is, well, a couple things to my understanding, and Julie Kelly's been my source on a lot of this, but the moving of the boxes. So if you have a bunch of papers, like let's say manila file folders, clippings, whatever, in a banker's box, and you move the banker's box, what happens if the documents go like this and then they shuffle? So they're out of order, right? And there's a question about how the boxes got there and who went through the boxes and if they're in a chronological order. So the question is, did Trump even look at the boxes, right? Were these delivered from somebody? It's basically like the evidence got maneuvered. It got maneuvered around. So it's different than it originally was. They found it and it's now different because the evidence is moved around. That's one concept. And then there was another concept that they actually were changing the cover sheets, right? Putting different types of cover sheets on top and making it look much worse than it was. So it's about intent and did Trump like knowingly withheld, knowingly obstruct these things? They have to show that the evidence was a certain form and they changed all the evidence after they charged him with crime. So it's a pretty big problem. It's like if somebody opens your DoorDash order and moves your food around and then closes it and leaves it on your porch. You go, that's weird. That's weird. I don't know if you ate my food. I don't know what you did. I don't know if you spit in it. I don't know if you manipulated it. I don't know what you did. But you opened it and stuff got moved around in my dinner, and you're not supposed to do that. Dinner should be the same when it arrives. Because you don't know what they did. Like, you have no idea what they did. They say they just moved some things around. Okay. The evidence is not the same. So it's a big problem. Hey, what's up? Good Sign says, is a new supporter. Welcome aboard. Good Sign in the house. And Knox is here. Knox says, so glad to hear the good news. Great update indeed. Knox, thanks for that. And we're looking for a Knox update here soon too, Well, we got this one from T.A. Holloway. So Stormy got the vapors. Or as they call it in the South, the vapubs. I don't even know what that means. Stormy got the vapors. Like that, is that her like little dooziness? I don't know what that means. I hope I'm not in trouble for that one. But all right, my friends, that is it for your tremendous support. I'm super grateful for it. Thank you for sending all of those in. Great comments, great thoughts, and tremendous welcome to new members. Many new members. We're excited to meet you tomorrow on our members only morning stream. But that is going to be it for us on the day. We said hello to our friends on X and elsewhere. We are now going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We're going to hang out, debrief over there for our locals members. We'd love to have you join us. We do streams 6 days a week in the mornings. Really try to deliver for our membos, and we have the best membos ever. So come join us, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Link in the description below to come hang out. RobertGovea.com for PDFs on the website, show reports, daily newsletter email if you want to sign up for that. We have our merch stores over there, calendar, and other items that you can add to your repertoire. WatcherLodge.com. We have Sovereignty Saturdays. We have all of them now posted. All of the back catalog is now up, WatcherLodge.com. So if you want to go check those out, please feel free to do that. And if you are definitely coming to Vegas, like definitely, go RSVP, WatcherLodge.com for our in-person meetup at Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, baby. It's going to be amazing. And so, my friends, that is it for us on the day. We covered some serious business, and as always, it's a tremendous honor to go through this together with you. It's an experience we're all going through. Don't know that we'll ever go through anything like this again, maybe ever, in American history. And so, very grateful to be able to spend this time with you and to go through it together. We are going to come back here tomorrow to get into it again. And to do that, we need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. See you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.